So this weekend at Download Festival, Sleep Token take on their first headlining slot. And after Rock in Park and Rock am Ring last weekend, we got a new set list, new masks, we got all sorts of new stuff, even a new saxophone player. But one of the most interesting things is how Sleep Token look to have influenced download ticket sales. But we'll take a look at that right now. So just this weekend over in Germany, festival season 2025 kicked off proper here in Europe, at least. And Sleep Token gave us a kind of inkling as to what we're going to expect at Download with a brand new set list. Now, obviously, we're in the Even in Arcadia era of Sleep Token now. The masks have changed, the costumes have changed, the set in its entirety has changed. But the set list gave away a few things about maybe what we've got to look forward to this weekend in Download. Now, obviously, I think that they are going to open with Look to Windward, as absolutely they should. The whispering of, will you halt this eclipse in me, into the kabuki drop that what's inevitably is going to land on Ivy. But the new set that we'll get to in a moment is glorious. It's full of texture. I talked about it in another one of my videos. There's probably a little thingy up here you can click on. So it's all change at Sleep Token Junction. Better than Feathered Host Circus, I guess. So Look to Windward, I presume, will open the set. And, of course, there will be, mainstays of the set now, if you like. Songs like Alkaline that have been there for a while, Hypnosis, Rain. But there will be new singles. We are in the Even in Arcadia era. But at the last few gigs at the weekend in Germany, we got Look to Windward, obviously, from the new album, opening the set. Emergence, Caramel, and Damocles. One of the things that surprised people was the absence of songs like Even in Arcadia. But one thing to remember is, and this I think is very important, those sets at the weekend were an hour and a half, or were listed to be 90 minutes max. At Download, the headliner has an hour 45. So we are definitely going to get 2, maybe 3 more songs than we got on the set list at the weekend. And indeed, there were slightly less songs, I believe, at Rock am Ring than there was in Rock in Park. So, potentially, are we going to get a greatest hit set? Are we going to veer wildly away from this set list? In my opinion, I don't think we will. I think, actually, it's quite well constructed, but also at a festival, and we'll get to this into ticket sales in a moment, RCA, who are now the record label, who have a publishing deal with Sleep Token, have obviously spunked a lot of money into the band in terms of promotion for the album, for Even in Arcadia, but also just in the set itself, this fantastic new design they have, this grotto, or perhaps maybe it is the entrance to Arcadia. We're walking through that waterfall. Maybe this is the story before the story, because we have to remember, we still don't know what the battle continues means. It was posted on Sleep Token's Instagram a few weeks back now, and there have been little games that people could play with phone numbers and what have you, but that seemed to be geo-locked to certain places. We still don't know what the battle continues means, and this weekend in Download is a homecoming gig. As far as I know, there aren't any UK dates planned for the rest of 2025, so this is the one, which leads me to the ticket sales. Now, Ticketmaster are reporting that nearly 50% of people going to Download this year are first-time ticket buys. I believe the actual figure is 44%. Now, for a festival that was being said a few years ago that it was dying on its arse and, Download can't get big bands anymore, nobody goes to Download. Well, a whole new load of people are going to Download this year. And it has to be considered that because of the success of Sleep Token, who are now at like nearly 10 million Spotify listeners, who are number one all over the world, in Australia and Germany, in the UK, in the US, Billboard number one. The way that the Summoning took off, for example, on TikTok, it was on everybody's page for 2 or 3 weeks. And indeed, all of these new singles have got a load of social media buzz about them. So, if you add that up together, the obvious financial success that this album has been, the obvious backing that they have from RCA, and indeed how popular they have become, or not necessarily popular as such. There are people who are very much in their, I don't like Sleep Token camp. and that's fine. But the majority of people seem to be warming to this band with their blend of different genres, going from hip hop to metalcore, and the vulnerability of the lyrics, of course, which when you've got a mask on, sometimes you can get away with that a bit more. Sleep Token have struck a chord with an awful lot of people, and I wonder just how many of those people are going, well, if Sleep Token are headlining on that night, then we're definitely going to download this year. Maybe Sleep Token were actually a needle mover in terms of ticket sales, because I'm very surprised that nearly half of the people, nearly half of everybody who is going to download, is a first-time ticket buyer. That's quite a phenomenal thing. So then I would expect Sleep Token to be pulling out all of the stops at download this weekend. Obviously, we've already seen footage of Rock am Ring and Rock im Park. But with that extra 15 minutes on top of what they performed last weekend, are we going to get potentially new songs, or are we going to get more songs from Even in Arcadia? But it could go completely the other way. You'll see the penultimate song that Sleep Token have been playing in at least this incarnation of the Setlist in 2025 has Thread the Needle as the penultimate song, their very first single from the EP1. That rather took people by surprise, and I think has fed in to a little bit more of excitement, a little bit more anticipation for this weekend, because real, like, hardcore Sleep Token fans are now really excited. Like, are they going to play Jaws? Is there going to be more songs from Even in Arcadia? I went to go and see Radiohead in Oxford at their homecoming gig when I was like a teenager. Yeah, that's how fucking old I am. And because it was such a momentous occasion, they played Creep, a song that Tom York said I never wanted to play live again. And whether or not it was a stitch-up job by his guitar tech, whatever happened on stage that caused that to happen, I can't help but get out from under the feeling that there's something exciting coming this weekend at Download. Couple that with, of course, brand new masks, brand new outfits, a whole brand new staging with that big grotto that they've built behind Vessel and then the waterfall. And are they even going to push that even further? Is this going to be even more embellished on the larger stage at Download? Also, for anybody who is going, I urge you to remember that the battle continues, because one of the things I was most fascinated about previous weekend was in the interludes, of which I believe there were 3 in between the songs in the set, they were playing videos on the big screens. Now, just to see one of them, and we spoke about it in another video, this approach to one of the houses. But I got a comment from someone a few days ago saying that they were there, and actually the screens were showing 2 different videos at the same time, both approaching houses, but they were both different houses. Now, we must remember, this is all still in play. House Viridian and the Feathered Host, there has been no resolution that we know to that story, to that conflict. We were asked to support our sides, to pick a team, if you like. So if you are going to download this weekend, and by the time that Sleep Token make it to the stage, you're not completely obliterated, please keep an eye on the big screens, the video screens either side, and see if they are playing different videos, or see if there is some sort of development of story or lore in that. It seems like such a massive opportunity for Sleep Token to be able to put that out in front of so many people, and also expect it to really go off. Expect bells, whistles, maybe even more than we had the last week. I don't mean literally bells and whistles. I mean all of the gimmicks, possibly bells and whistles. And if you are going to download this weekend for the first time, and indeed maybe seeing Sleep Token for the first time, firstly, I hope it doesn't rain, because I've been there when it rains. And secondly, I hope it is genuinely one of the best weekends of your life. I hope you get to see amazing bands and having an incredible time. And I'm genuinely fascinated by what Sleep Token are going to pull out the bag this weekend. The Even in Arcadia era of Sleep Token is becoming more fascinating by the day. And you better believe next week is probably going to be a busy one for me, because I've got to go through all of the download stuff. And you better believe there's going to be a bunch of fallout from Download. As always, thank you so much to my Ko-fi members. Their names are on screen right now. Thank you to everybody for supporting me. Of course, my videos are always seen by my members, my community over at Ko-fi first, and we have plenty of members exclusive videos coming up soon, like the Theatre of Sleep Token, where I'm going to dive in to what the man behind the mask is truly trying to create in terms of this musical theatre epic that is Sleep Token. So I shall see you soon. Enjoy Download if you're going, and I'll see you for the next video.